peace, power, and love, divinely sent from above, below, and all between, where we can't see and can see, just like this air to keep us alive, this breath of life. Again, before the sunrise, with Blackanized International Nubian conscious chess moves. Game of life. It's not a game. In reality, life has been distorted. It has been inoculated with some self-defeating purposes by social narcotics that we accept and eject ourselves to. Inject and not object to this foul drug of white supremacy and institutionalized racism, along with the Willie Lynch syndrome. But we, as a people, there's that word but again. So therefore, our syndrome of acceptance of this social engineering and social narcotics is sometimes self-injected for those who don't know. But for those who know and have conscious equilibrium of this system and the working of it, what do we do about it, and how do we deal with it? We first must purify ourselves, and I like to say, Hotep, Ashe, to a brother that's so sane, he making sanity run away. He make people look at their self and reflect upon the reality of what I'm talking about, and his ability to make people be motivated. He stimulates people. He agitates people to become themselves and through African spirituality. A real black man, African man, I call him sane for his intelligent, accurate quotes and information that he convey. A brother that has a business that's coming up. Brother Wale Sai, my brother for life. No matter what anybody say about this brother, he is definitely sane. And I'd like to thank him for tuning in today with that extra energy, that synergy, this purity. Brothers like him, we need so many more like him. That's not arrogant, egotistic, or selfish, but is a race man based on African spirituality. What I was saying is that we got to unify, organize, and come together on those lines and bases. And we have to speak the truth, practice the truth, and deal with the truth in our communities. We have to protect our communities to a pure conditioning of purity. We got to purify ourselves and come out of the mindset of the social engineering in the quiet mind, deceptive maze that we find ourselves in this society, under this government. The unification and organization purposes should be to establish an infrastructure, a living environment that's conducive to us as human beings, as African, black human beings, the original people of the whole planet Earth, the original indigenous and aborigines. And we got to deal with our culture. We got to get back into understanding who we are as a people and deal with the dilemmas that we find ourselves in this day and time. And the most prevalent one that's now all blown up, that been going on in our system for years. They talk about the missing children and all this been going on for years. Might have gave it another name or whatever. But now what's happening, since it's been blown out of proportion and blown up and coming to the public eye, should have been there, because it's been going on, like I said, for years, and they got a minute number. It's 800,000 or more missing children, 800,000 or more missing men, women, and children. Put that together, that's like 1,600,000. But it's for body parts, melanin, and blood sacrifices, and all these things that people in the high echelons of the society, the secret societies, do. And it's been going on for years. We had a vampire that just died recently that was 101 years old. And in that time period, time frame, how many body parts did he use without staying in line? We got to think about that. We got to be able to and willing to speak the truth to power. We have to be willing to, in a revolutionary way, evolutionary way, speak the truth and know the truth. And now, since it's blown up and it's all in the media everywhere because of the dilemma that's happening in our community, that's been happening, and then not only that, like in 2014, 2013, when a little girl, Alicia Rod, was kidnapped and never found, it blew up a little bit then. It was found out during that same period that police was involved. And I seen something that I was looking at last night, matter of fact, where it's 3 police that was involved in that certain activity, and they are getting, or in court now or something, and going through the process. And then it was reading that 2 of them are still on desk duty or something like that, with their involvement with that type of activity, pornographic pictures, and hundreds of them, and setting up or being part of a sex ring and stuff like that. See, but it ain't about the police. It ain't about the government. It's about us as a people, protecting ourselves in our community. It's about us being observant in our community. And now it's so blown up, right, that they got facets of it, of this so-called sex ring. They got it that, like, it's from dysfunctional families, was a possibility. The young women or young men going through a whole lot of ordeals inside the family, and that's one aspect of it. Then the other aspect, that they run away and do this on their own. And another aspect, that they're being manipulated to do this. That's 3. And the 4th is that they're being kidnapped. Some of them come back, right? And then some of them are still missing for years, I'm saying. Not just the recent missing, but they're saying that a lot of these people are running away on their own and this and that, and they mixing all this. And to the real bigger picture is that it's part of an organized a political organization, like, say, York's rights, Scots rights, secret societies dealing with blood sacrifices from the Vatican on down, that it's the implementation of this whole thing, body parts and melanin and even the sex rings. And that's where it starts from. But now that it hit home, and all of a sudden it's blown out of proportion, and it's all over the news now. Where was it at first? Why wasn't it reported by the news? Because they control the news. That's evident fact. And then it's like it's like a stimuli, right? A door open, and now it's all, news worthy now. And now what are the people going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? We're going to depend on the people, the government, or the police? The police that was involved with it was right at 7th District. So we got to depend on them. to protect us, protect our children. That's our trust, the trust that the Creator placed upon us. That's why, like, throughout all the partying and drinking and the drug taking that we do, and our equilibrium be off, and we be in a state of euphoria, that's why we got to purify ourselves so we can be more observant, so we can stop walking around with our eyes wide shut and selling our souls and become nigger Europeans and just dealing with, allowing somebody else to deal with our issues. It's time now for us to unify, organize, and develop this infrastructure of protection of our own, especially our children. And we got to be neighborly. We got to be knowing what's going on next door and not prying into all that. But you ain't got to do that. All you got to do is look and listen. You see the difference in abnormality, what people be going through. And that's what we got to do based on that. And not be like, it's a book called The Bell Curve. It talks about how they manipulate us like we're in a laboratory. Stimuli, see what way we would go. Just like the little period of time when they were showing us how the police was just killing us, boom, 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 shooting us down. What happened? They say they still doing it, but we don't see it no more. We don't even hear it no more. Social media was doing a good job on that, but social media is not doing that no more. Social media did a good job bringing out what's happening with our young sisters and brothers. Now the major networks are trying to jump in on the bandwagon. Why? Stimuli, the bell curve. We're gonna see how we act, which way we move. Then we still got the trouble of our young adults still doing what they doing, the shooting and killing, and accidentally hitting somebody in the stray with a stray bullet and all that. We got to purify ourselves in that area. The purification comes from us purifying our body and our thoughts. We got to stop using drugs, selling drugs, and all that in our community. That's where it begins. Then we got to we got to become the village that we're supposed to be. We can't let them use our quotes and then don't do nothing about it but get us locked up. The maximum people got locked up in this country was during this period of time when this lady used that quote about it takes a village to raise a child. That comes from us, and they use it. Everything they got from us, and we allow it. We don't use what we got. I'm not saying all of us, but I ain't gonna say the majority of us. But too many of us don't use what we need to use to come together. And those of us that are conscious or revolutionary or nationalists or race people, we still got to come together and unify. We got to stop saying that we can't. We got to, even those on the continent of Akabu land, so-called Africa, keep saying that we can't come together with those 53 countries over there. If we get a United States of Africa, we can control the world. Here in America, if we come together and go back to separation and make sure that we ain't got to worry about what they doing. We in place now. We can work. We can support one another. And that's what we got to do. We got to stop being caught up in this quagmire, deceptive maze that we be in, that they created. They distorted our reality. They made us subservient and have a slave mentality over here. We got to break free of that perception of who we are and go black to the ancient future and deal with ourselves as a united body based on African spirituality. We got to come out of these religions that keep us separated. If they ain't bringing us together, what is the worth of them? If they're not bringing us together as a people, then what is the worth of them? How can we practice Catholicism, or what is it, Catholic? How can we practice that when we know in 1453 or whatever, they the one to sanction for us to be in slavery? How can we worship that when we know that it is the most grossest pedophile in the world, and they get away with it? they get away with it, and they pay people off or whatever. Not only that, pedophiles, one of the people of the cabal states, they the religious aspect of it, and London is a financial, and Washington is the materialistic. And we got to understand the cabal state. If you don't know the word CABAL, Google it, and it'll tell you what it is. That's a reality that we're dealing with, that we got to deal with. We got to step back, be observant, and protect our own, develop our own. We got to start planting our own food and setting up our own economical system. We got to deal with like we had Wall Streets before. We got to do this immediately, especially in this political climate with this person that's supposed to be presidential elected personality that doesn't have an inkling of what's going on politically. It's like, and then his own cabinet that he brought together is a bunch of white nationalists, some of them Ku Klux Klan representatives, but we allow them to run the country. A lot of people say give him a chance. A lot of people say watch what we say about Trump. But you have to speak the truth. You just can't walk around with your eyes wide shut. You see the deceptive nature outright that's going on. They give it a new name, alternative facts. They don't say it's lies, but you can see the real deception that they promote. You can see it every day. And have you ever seen anybody that's of that latitude or have that much power on the tweeter, like he's a kid tweeting? He running the world. He running the country. He running this country that's have world power. What is he doing on that? Then his alignment with a so-called cold world enemy, their open communication and all that. So we're in a quagmire, deceptive maze that we have to step back out of. We got to find that way out. And the way out is the light of African spirituality. The way out is to know thyself. The way out is we have to understand the universe and know that the truth is etched in stone. That's why we had to go back to the ancient future. And we can't be divided, confused, and manipulated by all this good news, all this propaganda. You can't see it. It's evident. Just take a time out, take a chill pill, right? From your moment of being intoxicating, party and all that. For a moment, just reflect. We know what's been going on in our community, and we say, wow, this ain't been going on before. What's going on? So therefore, it tells us that we done let something in our community that's been there or whatever, but we ain't been doing nothing about it, but because we haven't been observant in our community. See, I don't want no accolades or anything, but in my conversation, years before this is taking place, right, I was always saying about this system behind 800,000 missing children and all that about melanin and body parts and all that way before this time. Not way, everybody ain't here, but throughout my conversation with how many people I done talked to. And that's a reality. And if people that I've talked to and mention that, they can say, oh, yeah, he's right. But I'm not saying it for a moment on the news or a moment whatever. I'm doing it because we're at war. We're at spiritual war, mental war, and the physical war. And if we don't come together, this war that's been going on for thousands of years, we at the crest of it almost, I believe, because they're trying to promote their new world order. And they think this is the time to do it because they're making their alignment and their ties with everybody because that's part of it also. They're trying to bring this new system about through chaos and disorder. And we can see the disorder of this system now. Oh, yeah, my churchgoers, I want to say, when you go to church, pray for us. And then I was reading something. I don't really It said, this is Hebrews, right? Hebrews, what is that, John? Hebrews 13, right? 13:17. And it says, obey those who rule over you. Obey those who rule over you, and be submissive, for they watch out for your souls as those who must give account. Let them do so with joy and not with grief, for they will be unprofitable for you. I remember I looked at this movie about Nat Turner. I didn't know he carried the Bible like that. I didn't know that he was used like these people being used today, or they do it by choice today because they have enough information and they know everything in this book. But they ride past a lot of the scriptures. But I was trying to understand, but it's a lot more, and I just chose that this morning. It say, obey those who rule over you and be submissive. What is that telling you? We got to come out that slave mentality. I ain't attacking the book. I ain't saying nothing bad about the book. But I'm saying that when it don't bring us together in unity, when it tells us to be submissive to these people, to this government or whatever, I know it's some more detail you can go in there that they'll articulate and all that and pick out and say, well, it don't mean this and it don't mean that. But, you know, I'm a layman. I'm just going by words that I see and read. And I just discern that portion of it. I ain't no slave, and nor am I a nigger. And I know one day that I'm going to transmute to another realm and my temple will be gone. But while I'm here, I'm going to be about our people. I'm going to be about me. I'm going to be about my family. I'm about and my extended family as a black man, as in the sense of African spirituality. And all those doors of so-called institutionalized religion, I am, because I'm universal, right? So I've been a Muslim. I'm Muslim. I got saved and baptized recently, Hebrew and all that. But the most pertinent thing or profound thing to happen to me right in this room is when they say the third eye open, when my chakra centers or my kundalini, whatever, I felt the energy coming to me and enhance my ability to discern matters and all that. And I've always been about us as a people. And I think that this is my ordained pathway that I walk on, the ancient pathway according to our ancestors by divine decree. And I accept it. And I got a lot more growing and learning to do, so I'm a student teacher. So the truth I speak is the truth by divine decree. I mean, I ain't perfect. I ain't going to claim that. But I'm going to claim my love for my people. I'm going to claim my living for my people through myself. I develop myself, purify myself. Then I develop my household, my family. Then it's the community. Then it just spreads like that. And that's how we should be. I'm just one out of what? It's 7 billion? I'm 1 out of 7 billion. But it's more. It's a lot more. And we just got to unify. We know that we are the majority on this planet Earth. We also know that those at the high echelons that control the Earth, the Vatican and London and America, through this system of a corrupt corporation, the United States of hypocrisy under satanic administration, all the secret societies and all this kidnapping our people for body parts to stay alive longer. But like I said, one of the vampires that's recently died, so they can die and they will die for whatever reason. I think one of them died, and I think one of their bloodlines died also. I'm not sure. But I know the head one, he died from, I guess, natural causes. See, the media ain't saying nothing about that. There's a reason for that or whatever, why the media don't say nothing. They only promote what they want you to know, because those are the people that control the media, like the Murdochs and all that, and the Rothschilds and all that. But anyway, we know our natural enemy. We know what we got to do in our community. We got to do it. Nobody else going to do it for us. We got to be the first line of defense against anything that's going on in our community. We got to rise up. We got to wake up. We got to stand up. We got to do something. We got to support those who are supportive of us. We got to support those that's trying to, work in the system, through the system, for the betterment of us as a people. So this morning, I say, when you go to church, wherever you go, in prayer, pray for us to come together. For in prayer is power, and power is prayer when it's proactive. Don't be manipulated by the news, media, propaganda. You got to ask yourself, where were they at? Where were the police? And where we know some police was involved with the activities going on in our backyard. We gotta purify our homes and our families. We gotta look out for each other, and don't get caught up in the phases of this. And it's all related to one big organized business that it is for body parts, melanin, and blood sacrifices or sex rings or whatever. So we're fighting against this. We got to unify the fight against it in a way that they got to know that we're real. We can't let nobody steal our children no more. We can't let nobody sell our children no more. We're not slaves, nor are we niggas. We niggas, kings and niggas, queens, gods and goddesses, based on African spirituality. We can't be scared of the knowledge that they stole from us and use it against us. We have to accept who we are as a people, the divine, original people on this planet Earth. And we're going to have to go back to that ancient future so that our present can be more better live in harmony and peace. Because we definitely at war. They definitely don't need us no more. It's definitely they brought other cultures in and, try to push us out the way. But you can't blame them. The other culture is trying to live too. And they are brothers and sisters. They melanated. They just speak a different language. And they caught up in the social narcotics too. And even our African brothers, they come over here and they take over businesses. But you know what they do? They call their family or call those other people to come over here and fill those jobs. But what we do here, we get in a position we don't even want to look out for each other. But I ain't saying all of us. I'm saying a lot of us. But that's changing now because we got a new mentality, a new thinking that we're going to promote productivity. We're going to promote entrepreneurship. We're going to promote collaboration. We're going to promote networking. But we're going to do it in our way, representing ourselves and our people holistically. And we're going to deal with our mystical ties. We're going to deal with our eternal knowledge, understanding who we are, of the universe and the DNA. And we're going to be changers of the universe. In peace, power, and love, I say, peace, power, and love. Every day, motivate somebody, stimulate somebody, tell them that you love them. And know we at a war. Know we at war spiritually, mentally, economically, academically, on all levels of our life. We need to start homeschooling our children. We need to send our children to African-centric schools so that we will wean them off this social narcotics of white supremacy and institutionalized racism, where we get it first in the school system, the public school system or whatever. And we fight for it too. And not only that, we got to stop practicing these holidays. Hollow days. Hollow. They're not holy. We got to stop practicing them. We got to start practicing African spirituality. Everything that they do, we got to pull back from it. We got to, and look at the other side of it, what they're really practicing. See, they call us pagan for what we practicing, and brought us Christianity or Islam or whatever. I'm not saying nothing wrong with those religions or anything. I ain't even talking about them, but we should know what they do and what we encounter going through them. Especially, I had to say, special Christianity, because that was mainly what beating in us, and got taken out of our old customs and given this new customs, and the concept of somebody dying for our sins, and they commit sins every day, and so-called sins is what they do to us to hinder our growth. So I say again, if it ain't bringing us together in unity and organization, then what is the worth of it? And people know the truth. They know the truth. A lot of them be in those secret fraternities, or Greek fraternities. They turn their back on African spirituality, and then the good men, or the good speakers, or so-called preachers, or whatever, they get attacked. They get attacked, and people of power had to turn their back on their own teachers, spiritual teachers and guides. Same way we know what's going on. We know what's going on in our houses of worship and praise and all that. But don't let them hoodwink us, and don't let them cover the truth that pertains to us. And I speak in truth, the truth and understanding that I know that I ordainedly been provided through my ancestors and my DNA to be a conscious human being, be a spiritual being in the spiritual context of knowing that spirituality play a great part in our physical world, and knowing that it's dimensions and realms that we got to deal with, and conscious levels that we got to rise up to, but it all comes from knowing that self. And I just want to say, realize the war is a silent war. We got our young adults being manipulated and under robot control. We got a lot of people walking around with their eyes wide shut. And then a lot of people be stimulated, by the propaganda, the news. And then we be talking about each other like it's a shame, man. It's a shame. And we got some people that's so arrogant and egotistic and whatever. We got to overcome a lot of vices that we carry with us, idiosyncrasies and all that, and be better human beings. We got to be brothers and sisters of a family, extended family, in the sense of African spirituality. And that should become our reality. And as this day provides us with another day of life and living by divine decree, that the energy of the universal, divine essence have given us a moment, another moment in a revolution around the sun, around this life-giving source, to be productive. And I say, motivate somebody, stimulate somebody, let them know that you love them, and be observant in our community, be protective of our children in our community. This got to stop happening, but it starts with us first. It starts with us. Know that, believe that, and do that. Peace, love, every day, in every way. Let's do this.